Okay, today we're going to just show you our lasagna method for the soil. We're just doing a little half box here. You can see these are what we call our sort of full-size boxes. That's actually 3 meters by 1 meter. And our recipe is for half of one of these boxes up here. Okay, so we're just going to do a small box, so just so you can get the idea of what we've got. So we've got everything we need here. We've got our pea straw over here. We've got the mushroom compost. We've got the organic fertilizer. We've got the sheep pellets. We've got organic compost and we've got organic potting mix. We've also got the blood and bone, we've got the molasses and the sea salt. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the pea straw. And we're going to put, we say 50 mils, but you just want a good covering over the bottom of it. And pretty much what we're saying with 50 mils is if you press it down, it's going to be 50 mils. So that's probably plenty in there. And then next goes in. Now we've managed to find some actual sheep pellets from a farm. But if you can't get those, just get the ones you buy from the supermarket. So I think we said about 3 handfuls. About. Here. So you might have to adjust your recipe just depending on the size of your box, but you'll get the idea from what we're doing here today. Now the blood and bone is optional if you want. And then now we're going to quite a thick layer of mushroom compost. A little bit more in. Okay, so now I've got a watering vessel here, and now this is a 9 litre watering can. Just going to put one of these, so just follow the instructions on your sea salt or whatever liquid seaweed you're using. Now for the molasses, now you can use whatever brand you want. This is in the supermarket, so it's relatively cheap. Easy to get. So I'm going to put a spoon in here. Now this stuff's really thick. Now if you make bagels, use this for bagels as well. And actually I'll put a recipe on somewhere for my bagel recipe. And now if you get some boiling water, pour it on this. And so I've got 8 litres in here, and it's about a spoon. Now the molasses feeds the microbes in the soil. So you can see it's like the liquid, like, you know, crappy coffee, strong tea, but it's taken all that off. Otherwise you'll never get it off your spoon, it'll get sticky fingers. And then we're just going to add that to this. Right, there we go. And so now we're just going to actually give this a really good water. So normally for one of my normal beds I'd probably just use all of this, but I'm actually just going to use about half of this. So you can see I'm actually giving it a whole lot of water. Now, right, if you're actually just putting this directly onto the ground, the other thing actually I forgot to say is that we've got the bottoms in all of our beds. If you're putting this directly onto the ground, I really highly recommend either putting some cardboard down. You know, a couple of sheets of cardboard, and it stops the weeds from coming through, and it'll decompose over time, but it'll still let the worms and everything through. If you just use your weed mat, a lot of times, it'll take years for that to rot through before the worms can actually get through. So our recommendation is cardboard. If you're putting this directly onto the ground and you haven't got a box, you could actually just leave it like that and then put the very last layer, which I'll show you in a minute, and then that's it, you're finished. So because we're building up boxes, we're just going to continue this process. So it's exactly the same as what we just did. A little bit too much. So once again, it's about a 50 ml spread again. Nicely in there. And then a few handfuls of the sheep poo. A few handfuls of the sheep poo if you didn't hear me. A little bit of blood and bone. And a little bit of the fertiliser. Right, and then now we want more mushroom. A little bit more mushroom in that. Different mushroom mix. Right, again, so now same thing. Give this a really good water. Now I've probably used about 2/3 of this. So I think this is about, she's probably about 1.2 by about 500. Okay, so we just finished the second layer. Now, depending on how high you're building, if you've got a container bed that's this high, you just keep going with the layers in, okay? And eventually it will compress down. We also just, if you notice, we have actually lined that with a plastic. There's some holes in the bottom so it can drain, so the worms can get through, and that just protects the macrocarpal beds a little bit longer. It just means they're going to last. So now we've got a special purpose of this bed, so we're going to finish it at this layer here. Normally we would build it up to the very top, okay, and know that it's going to, over the course of a couple of weeks or a month, it'll probably drop down about that much. So you can see these beds here were all filled to the very top, and you can see how much they've dropped down. So you can just keep topping them up. When you go to do your, at the end of the season, you've pulled everything out, you will just do exactly the same as what that one layer. You put some more pea straw in, you put some more mushroom compost in, you put some more fertiliser, some blood and bone, and then you're going to use the same mix of the potting mix and the compost to go on top, which you actually do your planting in. So that's what we're going to do now. Make sure you wear a mask, obviously. You get that in bags. So this is the compost. Got half a bag going in there. Potting mix. Put half a bag in. Handful of blood and bone. Handful of the fertiliser. Now you want to mix all this up. Mix it really well. There you go. And so the very last thing is to once again water that in. So there's the last of this water. So that is now ready for planting.